everyone, I'm here with your 212 lesson, How Can I Represent Data? Have you ever noticed that when you are having fun, time seems to pass quickly, but when you are bored, what takes 10 minutes can feel like an hour? How good are the members of your class at estimating time? Today, you will explore this question by learning new ways to collect, visualize, and analyze data. 211, estimating 60 seconds. Do you know how long 60 seconds is? Of course, it is 60 seconds long, but do you really know how long it takes for 60 seconds to pass? Would you be able to know when 60 seconds have passed without the help of a watch or a clock? Today, you will conduct an experiment to see how accurately you and your classmates can do this. Your task. You will close your eyes, put your head down, and estimate when 60 seconds have passed. Your teacher will tell you when to start your estimate. When you think 60 seconds have passed, raise your head and determine your time from the timer displayed by your teacher. Then record your time on the sticky note your teacher gave you. Before you begin, discuss the following questions with your team. What are we investigating? How many pieces of data are we collecting? How will we measure it? What unit of measurement will we use? Be sure to remain quiet during the experiment. When everyone in the class is finished, be ready to share your time. After the class data has been shared, discuss the following questions with your team. Be ready to explain your thinking to the class. Do you think the class would be more accurate at estimating 10 seconds or 60 seconds? What about 200 seconds? Why? What might affect the quality of the data, and what do you expect the data to show? So if you're at home, I want you to try this on your own. Try and set a timer and see if you can wait for 60 seconds. Make sure the timer doesn't have a sound, okay? More or less, you need to set a stopwatch and answer those questions. 212, useful forms of data. It is possible to organize items in a way that communicates information at a glance. In this problem, you will use the list of times from problem 211. How could you rearrange the list to make it easier to find specific values? As a class, brainstorm ways to organize the data, decide how to rewrite the list. So if you are not in school, you have to wait until I post the list to be able to answer this question. So you need to make sure that you have pause the video or have the tab up so you can click back and forth as you pause the video. B says one way to organize the data display is a stem and leaf plot. The example at right represents the data 31, 31, 43, 47, 61, 66, 68, and 70. Think about how this plot is arranged and describe what you notice. For example, how would 42 be added to this plot? What about 102? Why do you think the space to the right after the 5 is blank? So go ahead and answer part B. Okay, let's talk about it. So some things that you should notice, 42 would be added to the plot. The 2 would go before the 3, but after the line because it's in order from least to greatest in the leaf column. 102, we would have to add 8, 9, and 10 over here, and that would leave 2 in the ones column, so that you read that 102. So why do you think the space to the right is blank? Well, that would mean that there are no numbers in the 50s. So there is no data in the 50s, okay? So that's why it's blank, but you still have to include it. C says, once the stem and leaf plot makes sense to you, work together to organize your class data from problem 211 in a similar way. So you're making a stem and leaf plot from our class data. If you need a new sheet of paper because there's not enough room here, you need to make sure you get one. D says, what do you notice about the class data? Discuss this with your team and then write down 3 observations you can make. Be ready to share your observations with the class and explain how you made them. So go ahead and answer part D. 213 says, creating a histogram. A histogram is another useful way to display data. You will explore one below. In lesson 211, you created dot plot of pets. Why might a dot plot not be the best choice for graphing 60-second data? So go ahead and come up with a reason, and everyone's reason could be different here, so there's more than one answer. B, another graph of data similar to a dot plot is called a histogram. Similar to a dot plot, this type of graph helps you see how many pieces of data are within each interval, such as between 0 and 10 seconds. Each interval is also called a bin. Following your teacher's direction, place a sticky note with your time from problem 211 on the class histogram. Copy the histogram into your notes using the height of bars to represent the number of sticky notes. So you will need to put wait until the picture is posted of the sticky notes, and then you will need to create your own histogram. So pause the video and do that once the picture is posted. So if the picture is posted, pause the video, open it in a new tab, and go ahead and look at it. C says, examine the graph data. What statements can you make that describe how your class performed the experiment? Were most students able to make good estimate of 60 seconds? How can you tell? So go ahead and look at the class data and answer that question. When you are done with that, you are done with today's lesson. As always, if you have any questions, please email me or see me.